My name is Allison. I'm an artist here at the Animation Academy. I'm going to be teaching you all how to draw Donald Duck. How many Donald fans do I have out there? All right, good number, about 70% of the class. Well, that's Manny, also known as the Marvelous, the Fantastic. No, he's also an artist here at the Animation Academy, but he's going to be our teacher's assistant today, which means if at any point during the class your pencil breaks, raise your hand nice and high. He'll be there to help you out. Also, if at any time during the class you need to exit, no worries. We have doors on this side of the theater. It's going to be up those stairs. Give that silver plate a big push, and it'll lead you right back out into the courtyard. Well, without further ado, let's get started with our drawing. After all, this is a sketching class. Now, with any drawing, with any character, we usually want to start out with a basic shape. Here at the Animation Academy, we do what's called sketching. And sketching is basically, we're going to build up shapes. When you're a character designer, you don't want to start out by just drawing eyes and nose randomly. You want to build up on a character. You want to go start from the basic shape and take, what does that mean? A circle is a very friendly shape, so we want to start out with that. And we're going to just keep on building up on that shape until we get the features of the character. And since Donald Duck's already created, we don't need to start figuring out. We're just going to draw him. So let's get started. You're also going to notice that you have no eraser. So before you even put your pen to the paper, just remember, start lightly. I'm just going to have my arm go into this motion, and then I'm just going to lightly start pressing down this pencil to the paper. It's barely even touching it. I don't want to start out dark, because this is going to be just a very basic shape. It's just going to be a circle. I'm going to build on top of it. So all these light lines are going to fade right into the background. Once I have that faded circle, I want to add in some construction lines. And these are just going to be lines to help us place features on the face. So one is going to be going up and down. It's going to split that circle in half. And the other is going to go about a third of the way down. And it's just going to be creating this nice little intersection there. And once you have that, you've done basic construction of Donald Duck. Hooray! Yeah! It doesn't look anything like him. No worries, we're going to start making it look like him now. We're going to add on some facial features now. And the first feature we're going to start out is the bill. The bill is a little bit of a tricky shape. It's, if you want to think about it simply, think of it when you put 2 potato chips in your mouth and you make a little duck face. I know all of you have done it at some point in your life, even if you would deny it. But yeah. So we're going to start off with that. And the way I'm going to start off, I'm going to add in the corners of his mouth. There's going to be 2 curves starting off the corners here. Just right on the side of this circle along that horizontal line that we first drew in. There's going to be 2 C curves. These are going to be the corners of his mouth, and they're going to end in his smile when we come back to them a little later on. But I also want to give the front of his bill. And to do the front of his bill, I'm going to create an arc. And this is going to start below the circle, and it's going to go up and into that circle, and right back down. Just a little rainbow going over our main shape. And we do this because now we can just connect the ends of these 2. And we're going to create the top of his bill. And that's just how we're going to continue throughout this drawing. We're just going to create lines and we're just going to connect them, and that's going to build shape and form. And right on top of this arc, I want to add a little bit more depth. So I'm going to add another arc, just repeating that top, I guess what you can call the lip. But that's just going to give a little bit more depth perception. Since he is facing at us, we don't want it to be completely flat, or else it looks a little strange. But once we have the top of his bill, now we can start opening up his mouth. When you see him in the park, he has a very big open smile along with Goofy and Mickey. They're not just kind of grinning or, giving a little smirk. No, they're big open smiles because they're big fun characters. So we want to give that to Donald as well. So we're going to create the corners of his mouth first, and then from the corners of his mouth, we're going to pull down a U shape, and that's going to give him an open smile. So right on the top here, add in 2 more arcs. These 2 little rainbows are going to be the corners of his mouth. They're going to be smile lines, because since he is smiling, he's pushing up the features of his face, and that's going to create 2 creases at the corner of his mouth. It happens with you too, so you can try it. Plenty of smiles here at Disneyland, so no worries. Right on top of this, I'm going to add in 2 shapes that look like coffee mug handles, and these are going to be his cheeks. And they're going to go right over that arc, right around, and come right back down. But we don't want them to go over the front of the beak. We want them to go behind and create that perception of depth again. From here, I'm just going to pull down a U shape. I'm going to go to the corner of his mouth and very lightly pull down 2 lines. They're going to be curving inward. And to create that, you just round it off at the bottom. Give him that nice big open smile. But since this is now the inside of his mouth, we want to make sure that he has a lower lip so that this doesn't look like the bottom of his lip. I'm just going to go right back out to the outer cheek that we made. I'm going to pull down the line. It's going to be the same exact curve. But I'm just going to pull this all the way across and connect it to that other side of his face. Now we have this lower lip. And again, just repeat the first curve that you made at the bottom of his mouth. And also, this is important, when you do start to get those lines that you really do enjoy, just start darkening them in, really make them stand out. When you get a shape you like, you want it to lock in, you want that to be what people see. Well, we have this lovely open space now in his mouth. It looks a little too open. If you have your mouth open that big, you're bound to see something inside. And since Donald doesn't really have teeth, we want to show his tongue. Now, the ducks are a little different from the mice. The ducks are a little bit more witty, they're a little bit more sharp and sassy, and we usually portray that by giving them a triangular tongue instead of two soft hill shapes like you would see in Mickey or Minnie. So at the top of your bill here, just pull down a V, and that's just going to be his tongue. You can even add a little mark here in the middle to make sure that it looks more like a tongue. I'm going to darken up the top of his bill here, and you can even shade this in just to make it pop out a little, add a little contrast in your drawing. And with that, we've completed most of the bill for Donald, and we're about halfway through. So I'm very curious, class, how are we all doing? Good. We're doing good? All right, got some okays. All right, how about top row? You guys doing awesome up there? All right. Well, the most important thing is, are we having fun? Yeah. All right. I see a lot of smiles out there, so I think so. It's good to hear. Well, now that we have the smile in, we have in his bill, let's wake him up. We're going to add in his eyes. Now, Donald's a very expressive character, if you haven't noticed. When his temper rises, he blows up, basically. And we want him to express that with his eyes. So his eyes are going to be these two big ovals on the side, next to his cheek on either side. And I'm going to start these by just going on the side. I'm going to start sketching in these big ovals. And they're going to rest right on top of that horizontal line that we first drew in. And just very lightly, very loosely sketch this in. Don't worry about doing dark lines at first. We just want this to be very loose and gestural. That's why we use our entire arm when we get into this motion. And to add even more expression to this, we're going to add in his brows. And these are just going to go right on top. And they're just going to repeat that same arc that we created for the top of his eye. When you lift up your eyebrows, they do, you know what your eyes do. So just going to repeat that curve. And now we have this great expression where he kind of looks like he just came off the Tower of Terror. So let's wake him up. And for to wake him up, we're going to add in his pupils. And the pupils are going to be the most important part of the character. We want this to really stand out. So we're going to darken these in and make it the darkest part of our drawing. Because when you have a character, they often say, you know, the eyes are the window to the soul. Well, that's true with even an animated character. So we want to make sure that's the first thing that people see when they look at your sketch. So right in here, near the center, I'm going to add in these circles. I don't want to be right at the center. If I make them right against the center, it's going to look cross-eyed. Which, hey, I mean, you can do if you'd like, but that seems more like a goofy thing to do, you know? I think Donald's a little bit more serious. But again, now that we have these shapes in, just really darken them in. Start outlining them and getting a nice shape in there. And even if you'd like to give him a little bit more of a twinkle in his eye, you can add a little circle here at the top. And just give him a little highlight, and that seems to make him a little more awake. I'm just going to start darkening this in. Darkening his eyes, those awesome expression eyes. In fact, Donald is so expressionable and so funny that he's actually probably the most popular character of the Fab Five. He even has more cartoons than Mickey Mouse himself. Everybody loved that duck. In fact, Mickey started losing popularity at one point to Donald, so they had to change his design, make it more appealing. But now that we have those awesome eyes in there, I'm actually going to go back to his bill, because now that we have these in here, they create this nice valley, and this will help lead up to the top of his bill, which is just going to be an arc that connects the both of them. And that'll just give him, finish the bill. You can even darken this front part up too, make these really stand out. At this point, I'm just going to go right back in and start darkening in the outside of his eyes. Now that we have those pupils in, really make those shapes pop out. You can even go back in and darken his eyebrows. But I want to complete his face, because right now we just have these eyebrows floating in space. So I'm going to come back down. I'm going to follow the outside of my circle curve, Gonna pull out a little hill and give him a little bit more of a cheek here. Just really sketch this in, make sure that he has a nice side of his face. And also, if you notice with Donald, he has a little tuft of what looks like hair at the top. They're actually feathers since he is a duck. But these are just going to be what look like 3 check marks or 3 blades of grass. And one's going to be flicking upward and the other going to be flicking downwards. And so right on the top of his head, just pull up a curved line. And I'm going to just create that little shark fin shape. Then I'm going to curve a line down and pull another 2 shark fin shapes. And that's just going to give him that tuft of hair. And for the most part, you know what? That's Donald Duck. That's his face. But he's a sailor, so we're missing something. What are we missing? Just shout it out. His hat. Yes, he has that distinguished sailor hat. You'd notice it if you saw it anywhere. So we really want to give that to him. And to start that shape, we're going to start by pulling off a line here at the top of his eyebrow. And it's going to be a straight vertical line about the center. And once we have that in, I'm going to pull another curved line. It's going to look like a wave. And it's going to connect right to the top of that. That's going to be the brim of his hat. And right on top of that brim, we're going to actually, what looks like a pillow shape, we're going to pull that around. So right on the side of his brow here, I'm just going to pull out this large C curve, make this come all the way around, and pull this around to the other side of his face. And then right on this side, I'm going to pull out another curve facing the other way. And it's going to give him that really cushiony, floppy hat. I'm just going to darken this in. And then for the final touch, we just got to add in that little band that comes off the side. And this is just going to be a stretched out W. So I'm going to pull out a curved line, up, down, and just right back into his hat. I'm just going to shade this in. And I can shade in the brim of his hat as well. Make those features stand out a little bit more. But at this point, you know what? You're done with Donald Duck. All you got to do is, if you want, you can go right back in, darken in some lines, shade in some features you feel like you want to stand out. Fix up anything you feel like may have gotten lost that you really want to stand out. But the most important part of your drawing is you want to add in your signature. This is the most important part of any sketch. It just says that it's yours. So somewhere on your paper, nice and big, put in your name because you've just drawn your very own Donald Duck.